teammate Braden Looper tonight. And this is our Domino's first pitch. Really big news just hours ago for Milwaukee, with their leadoff man now gone for the season. Not just for the road trip or tonight, but the season, Ricky Weeks. And this is our Marshall Wireless starter, Kyle Loge, and the first pitch was a ball.
Well, Kyle started the game Friday night. That was rained out after 2 innings. He looked very good in that outing, and hopefully that will continue as he's trying to reverse his fortune. Got off to a good start, but his last 2 starts have been not the way he's wanted to pitch. Very poor.
Cardinals starters really struggling right now. 2-9 in the month of May with an ERA of 5.82. Right center, Rasmus is there. It's good to see that. Council's a guy that has really hit Loge very well. He's now 8 for 17 against him. And a look at this lineup for Milwaukee, it's a good one. Council, Hardy, and Braun here in the first. Fielder, Cameron, Harden, Gamble. Very good looking prospect. And Jason Kendall, 1 shy of 2,000 hits in his career. And the former Cardinal Braden Looper. And here's a look at their shortstop, J.J. Hardy. But Weeks, Al, that's a huge loss for this team, gone for the year.
It really is. He's going to have the wrist surgery this week. It's the second time, and the first time the hand specialist has seen this happen now to, twice to an athlete. Same type of surgery has now happened on both hands.
Yeah, he had the right wrist with surgery a couple of years ago, and the particular surgeon has also dealt with a thumb injury that he's had. And this is what took place for Ricky Weeks over the weekend here. This was yesterday. It's the left wrist, apparently, that was bothering him.
Yeah, he had a pretty good idea what was in store because of his experience a couple of years ago. And it's really a shame because he was off to a great start. Only Soriano had more home runs than Ricky Weeks. He had 9, and he had hit 24 RBIs out of the leadoff spot. But Council can't play every day because of the knee surgery. He had, or excuse me, did not have the surgery. Has a meniscus problem, so Casey McGee will get some playing time.
Big loss, though, at the top of their lineup, and Ken Maka said he prefers to have Council in the second spot, and the reason why is because he says Council is a very patient hitter, a guy that can hit behind the runner. It's inside, and it hits J.J. Hardy on a 1-2 pitch. Trying to go inside, and he just caught him. That brings in Ryan Braun. We'll look at the Cardinals defense with Duncan, Rasmus, Stavanoa in the outfield. Barden, Green, Schumacher, and Pujols along the infield. And the battery tonight, Kyle Loge and Yadier Molina. Cardinals defense brought to you by Auto Tire. 68 degrees on this Monday night. Initially scheduled to be an off day for both these teams, but because of the rain out on Friday, here we are. Braun is 4 for 10 against Loge in his career. Now, Kyle Loge, as you mentioned, pitched a couple of innings on Friday, so they looked at that as being a bullpen for him. But I'll ask you, a bullpen as opposed to being in live action, completely different. So is that a cause of concern tonight?
I wouldn't think so. He didn't throw that many pitches. It's a good tune-up, and he has ample rest in between from Friday night.
1 ball, 1 strike. He was painting on Friday night. He looked very good.
He really did. I mean, he was lights out trying to change his fortunes. He's pitched well in this ballpark. And last season, he didn't have a win. The only team in the Central Division that he didn't have a win against as a Cardinal is Milwaukee, but he pitched effectively and kept the Cardinals for a chance to win all 3 of those games.
That's a strike on the outside corner, 1-2. Loge, the 30-year-old from Chico, California, signed as a free agent by the Cardinals last spring all the way back to March 14th, just a couple of weeks before the opening pitch of the season. And he parlayed that signing into 4 years and $41 million. And in many ways, by the Cardinals signing Loge, Looper was shown the door. Tonight's starter for Milwaukee.
Kyle had a career high 15 wins a year ago and the lowest ERA in his career. And remember, technically, he really pitched opening day as the Cardinals were rained out with Wainwright, and then he started the next day, which was Cardinals' first opening game a year ago.
There was not a busier man on the field yesterday than Yadier Molina. Wellemeyer was struggling with his control, and he was all over the place. His Braun strikes out, and there's 2 outs.
It's him to chase a breaking ball down and away. Go back to, you see this effective pitch out there, chasing a ball out of the strike zone. And a lot of that, I think, may be attributed to the hit batsman. I've always been of the belief that if you're going to miss, you miss inside, get the body part, so what? You don't leave it out over the plate for an easy home run.
Prince Fielder. Big bat in this lineup for Milwaukee. Homered here yesterday off of Blaine Boyer. And he now has 9 on the season with 35 RBIs and hitting .266. Brewers have won 8 of their last 9 here at Busch Stadium. Cardinals overall have dropped 6 of their last 8. There's a curveball and a sharp break to it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cardinals Cardinals do not have so much of their offense, so these starting pitchers really do have to assume a lot more responsibility. Need to set the tone, but the starters have really struggled. We'll get Ludwig back a week from today. Ankiel and Carpenter should return on Wednesday, so they're getting healthier.
And Wainwright was great over the weekend.
Outstanding. I mean, he came up on the short side. He only allowed 2 hits. One of those should have been caught, but the one hit, legitimate hit, ended up being a home run.
2-1 pitch to Fielder, taken just a little bit low and outside, 3-1. And the only difference in that game Saturday was a 2-2 pitch to Corey Hart. Remember, in that at bat, he had him 0-2, then fell behind just a bit to get to 2-2. And an opposite field home run early in the game, but after that, he was tremendous. The 3-1 pitch, he walked him. So Loge has hit a man here in the first. He's also walked a man, and it brings in Mike Cameron. Cameron is hitting .289 with 7 home runs and 19 RBIs. One thing about Cameron, though, is strikeouts. And you can get out of jams because he strikes out a lot. Over 140 last year.
Sort of synonymous with the Milwaukee Brewers, isn't it?
Jose Hernandez, right. Sexton,
Burnitz.
Jeff Jenkins, Burnitz, all those guys were high strikeout totals.
One year they had more strikeouts than hits.
I remember we always would go into Miller Park and you'd see those high strikeout totals, and their hitting coach is one of the best hitters ever, Rod Carew, who didn't strike out.
Multiple, American League batting champion and just an absolute contact hitter. A great Hall of Famer and just an outstanding hitter.
If you look at the Brewers, though, in 2009, you're saying, okay, coming off of 08, ton of home runs, and you can live with the strikeouts if you hit home runs, and this team does that. They do not have a high on base percentage, and they strike out a lot.
They don't really, hit for a high average, but they're getting very solid pitching, and they score runs via the home run. They are now second, one behind Philadelphia for the National League lead.
It was Willie Randolph, that shot on the left, Ken Maka on the right. Willie, the former manager of the Mets. And misses inside. 22 pitches already here in this first inning for Loge. Willie Randolph has found a home there with Milwaukee. Tough way to lose his job with the Mets, going down the stretch a couple of times. Of course, we saw him in postseason play in 2006. 2-1. A little bit high. It's 3-1. Corey Hart on deck.
Not missing by much, but see Dave Duncan really wanting these guys to be much more efficient.
Wellemeyer really struggled through that first inning yesterday. Walked 7
and hit 2 batters,
and that included 3 walks in the first. Took Wellemeyer 106 pitches to get 17 outs, and now Molina out to visit. Looked like it was going to start out okay. He got Counsell to fly out to center, and then he had Hardy at 2 strikes, but he hit him.
He had a good at bat, JJ, and then eventually was hit on a pitch inside. Strikeout of Braun, and now a couple walks, loading the bases for Corey Hart.
Corey Hart, the 27-year-old out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. 20 home runs a year ago, also 23 steals, a 2020 man, and he's done that twice in his career, the only guy in Brewers history to do that.
I would think Robin Yount would have done that.
That's what I was thinking
times,
too. But he's the only guy.
And isn't strange we're talking about 2020 when normally you would think about 30-30 as being the milestone.
2 outs, bases loaded. 0-1 pitch. Hart, line drive into right, backing up Stavanoa to make the catch. Strands of bases loaded, no score after a half inning. Bottom of the first rolls in. We're glad you're with us on this Monday night from Busch Stadium. Let's take a look at Tony La Russa's lineup tonight. Skip Schumacher hitting .321, then Nick Stavanoa and Albert Pujols. Duncan, Molina, Rasmus, Barden, Loge, and Green. You see that Schumacher's been swinging a hot bat. Old buddy Braden Looper is on the mound for the Brewers. His number is brought to you by Marshall Wireless.
He didn't sign with the Milwaukee until February 12th. Missed most of spring training with a left oblique strain. Got off to a good start in April and has struggled his last couple times out. But he's pitched well in this ballpark.
And the first pitch is a strike to Skip Schumacher. This year, Looper is 3-2. Home run's a little bit of an issue for him. He's allowed 7 in the 7 games that he started. 38 innings, 44 hits, and he struck out 27 on the year. Mention how he's pitched here at this ballpark. 20-13 at this Busch Stadium. A little chopper to Counsell, and he'll make the play. Milwaukee defensively much improved over a couple of years ago. No errors and 184 left field starts for Braun. So Gamble gets the start at third tonight. And behind the plate, Mr. Reliable Jason Kendall. And that's brought to you by Auto Tire. Last 13 games, the Cardinals have hit only .222. And obviously it's been a struggle to get runs here in this series with Milwaukee. Nick Stavanoa, former catcher at LSU, actually started a game catching at Memphis this year. So he would be your emergency catcher.
catcher.
Just in case you're wondering. For years it was John Mabry. But now we've got Nick Stavanoa here, and he's the guy. Wearing a former catcher's number 19, Tom Pagnazzi. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Stavanoa has been in left and also in right here tonight.
You were talking about Mr. Reliable, Jason Kendall back there. Kendall has played more games than the entire Cardinal lineup.
Isn't that something? Stavanoa with a base hit. On a 2-2 pitch, picks up the first Cardinal hit, and it brings in Pujols.
Had his first start yesterday and had an RBI in that game. Now he has his first hit in 09.
So Stavanoa picks up the base hit. This is what you're talking about, Al.
Well, see, everybody included in this lineup. And Kendall's had 1,867 games. Cardinals just over 1,600 for the entire lineup. Of course, Albert's played in over 1,000 games.
And Pujols takes a ball.
And Milwaukee, I believe, has 3 players that have played in over 1,000 games. Cameron, Kendall, and would it be Counsell?
Yeah.
I think maybe.
There have been guys, it seems like they've been around forever. Been on a major league roster as pitchers, like a Trevor Hoffman. Supan's been around a while, and so is this guy, Looper.
Sure. Well, let's see if Braden Looper learned anything sitting on that bench, dreaming about what if I ever had to face Albert Pujols.
Well, he was in their pitchers meeting on Friday. They invited him in because of his association with the Cardinals last 3 years. Of course, he wasn't supposed to pitch in this series, but why not give you any kind of extra edge?
Sure.
Bring him in. 2-1 the count. Here comes the next. And Pujols hits it out of play. A couple of base hits yesterday for Albert. And he's hitting just .273 since May 2nd. And Looper here at Busch Stadium, 20-13 as a starter, just below the 500 mark, but a very good ERA. Remember his first season with the Cardinals, he was a reliever and actually out of the bullpen picked up 9 wins. He was 9-3 that year. A 2-2 pitch. Pujols down the left field line. Stay fair ball. And it is just foul. Home run distance and just foul.
Albert never dropped the bat, so I think he had a pretty good idea that it was going to hook foul. As you said, Looper's allowed 7 already, and just a few feet foul. That's what happens when you try and throw inside and you don't get far enough in. Didn't miss by much, did it?
No. Maybe a half foot. 2-2 pitch. Here it comes. Pujols out the end of the bat. Looper has a double play ball. Out at second, out at first. 1-4-3. the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire, for the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. And by Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. Top of the second, rolls in. And there's no score. This is Matt Gamble, selected in the 4th round of the 05 draft. Another one of those guys in the 2005 draft, and they really like him. They think he is going to be a star. Defensively, they tell us he needs a lot of work. He's a third baseman by trade. He's at third base tonight, but they've talked to him about maybe moving to the outfield, potentially at first base, not knowing what you're going to have to pay Prince Fielder after a couple of years. But they say he can hit.
He was their player of the year, the minor league player of the year. Played most of the season at Double-A, only 5 games at Triple-A, hit .325, 20 home runs, and 99 RBIs.
They initially brought him up. That's a strikeout, called third strike, because they play Minnesota at the end of their road trip, and the DH will be in play. So they were going to use him as the designated hitter. A look at our Toyota keys to the game and a look at the starters. Loge and Looper, well, both got off to fine starts, and then May has been unkind to both Kyle Loge and Braden Looper. You see Kyle is 0-2 with an ERA of 11.32. Jason Kendall. I wonder if the Cardinals will be tempted in interleague play to maybe bring up Brett Wallace.
I saw that in Bernie Miklas's column, that that possibility. Let's wait and see what he does at AAA. He just got there with David Freese being put on the disabled list. And
it's a valid question, though. Very much so, I think.
I think it is, especially when you're looking at what you have right now.
Exactly.
But you know, it is fair to evaluate him after a couple weeks at AAA and see if he continues to hit.
1-2 the count. Jason Kendall, 1 hit shy of 2,000. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kendall is hitting .226. No home runs, 13 RBIs on the year, and he's 3 for 12 against Kyle Loge in his career.
There it is.
Hit number 2,000 for the catcher, Jason Kendall. Congratulations to Jason.
So they're going to take that ball and put a little inscription on there commemorating his 2000th major league hit, and show it on the mantle someplace.
So hit number 2,000 for Kendall, and Braden Looper announced, and I don't know if anybody's paying attention here at the ballpark. A smattering of applause. And Pujols will go to Schumacher. Fred Kendall, by the way, we were talking about him the other afternoon. His dad is now retired and living in San Diego.
Probably watching this game here tonight.
I want to go back to Wallace just for a moment.
Sure.
I mean, if you're the club, okay. If you're the club, you're tempted to do it because offensively this team is struggling. On the flip side, though, your temptation is put down a little bit because you don't want a guy to get buried if he gets up here and struggles.
Well, that's always the question with anybody. You know, if you could guarantee you come up here and you have a successful stay, no matter how long it is, then then it makes that evaluation much easier. But the reality is that you can go out there and just get buried, and then not that he's going to be labeled because he's going to hit at this level at some time. But, he only played a couple months last year. He was what, 2-time Triple Crown winner in the Pac-10,
right?
The Arizona State. So I mean, his credentials are extremely impressive, and he's kind of raced to the point where right now, he's at the AAA level.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. there is some concern about his defense. And when he came up to the booth last year after he was drafted by the Cardinals, you and I both could not believe his base, just how big his legs were.
Never seen thighs that look like you have, football thigh pads on.
Unbelievable. It's a strike to Counsell. 2-2.
We talked a little bit about Counsell, who used to have one of the most exaggerated batting stances. I mean, it looks so awkward the way he held the bat so high, really stretched out. But he's getting a little older and not playing every day. You can see where he's lowered his hands quite a bit.
And folks asked him about it in spring training. They said, "Why'd you do that? You've changed things." He said, "Look, I'm 38 and I hit 220 last year, so something's got to change." And you're right. He said, "My reactions have gotten slower, and one way or another I've got to find a way to get my hands through the zone." And he's taken a bigger base with his legs and lowered his hands a little bit more spread out. Pulls that foul.
And where he had his hands, there was just so much area before you'd make contact, so it just really lengthened his swing.
They talked about less movement with his head too, because his hands are moving so much. Everything was moving.
And when your head moves, you're in trouble.
Yes, you are. He said he dipped a lot. That was a problem with that. His dad, John, was an outfielder in the Twins organization. They moved to the Milwaukee area, and he grew up a Brewers fan. Hits it slowly back to Loge, and he's retired. Milwaukee is stranded 4. Duncan, Molina, and Rasmus 2 up. Well, as the inning ended, you see Jason Kendall getting the high fives and some hugs in that dugout for hit number 2,000 in his career. You can visit the official online shop of the Cardinals at STLCardinals.com. Browse the largest selection of authentic gear, including caps, T-shirts, jerseys, and more. Get your Cardinals gear straight from the source, STLCardinals.com. Duncan leads it off, followed by Molina and Rasmus. No score. Cardinals trying to avoid a sweep here tonight. Looper is 35 years old now, from Weatherford, Oklahoma. Came up as a reliever back in '98 with the Cardinals.
Duncan's got to be kicking himself as he took a fastball right down the middle and then swings at the splitter. That's what you would think. He probably assumed that he was going to get something off speed and guessed incorrectly on the first pitch, and now he'll probably only see the off-speed pitch, or he'll waste a fastball up and away. Didn't want the slider. It looked like fastball.
2-2. He has seen a ton of off-speed pitches, along with Ankiel when he's in there, and Colby Rasmus.
And they will, until they can prove to the advanced scouts that they can hit it.
There it is again, and that just missed outside, and the count runs full.
It's the one thing that when Ken Maka took over, he told all the pitchers, he said, we really want to, every one of you, I want you to really work on your changeups. Now, here's this changeup or a splitter.
And it's pulled to Fielder. He'll take it himself. So one away here in the bottom of the second. Taking a look, 2 for 1. Last 3 series by game. You see in the first couple of games of those series, 0-6. The third game they salvaged, but it'd be nice to see them win some series here.
And you can't blame it all on just, you know, the offense. The offense is definitely down, and there's legitimate reasons with, you know, missing your big part of your offense and Ankiel and Ludwig, and, you know, don't forget Troy Gloss. But the pitchers have got to start doing a better job.
2-9 in this month.
And ERA near 6. You don't win many games when you're only scoring a couple runs a game also.
1 ball, 1 strike. Khalil Green also out of the lineup again tonight, and according to Tony La Russa, he's going to take on more of a utility role right now. The next handful of games, just trying to make sure that he doesn't get buried and working to make sure that his confidence stays at least semi-positive for a guy that hit just above 200 last year and is struggling now at the start of this season.
Well, there's a good sign, just seeing him smile. You know, he's taken a lot inside.
Slows it up for Counsell to make the play. 2 outs. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, it's interleague play, full swing. Ryan Howard and the champion Phils make their first trip to the new Yankee Stadium to take on Derek Jeter and the Yankees. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week at 3 on Fox, and the Yankees fresh off of 3 walk-off wins in a row against Minnesota.
And the Yankees added a 6th spot in the first inning in tonight's game.
But you were talking about Green.
Well, I mean, you know, he's taken so much internally. You know, he's just so hard on himself right now that you just have to hope that his teammates can kind of liven him up a little bit, keep him real positive. You know, Tony and the coaching staff are trying to do the same.
0-1 pitch to Colby Rasmus. Popped up down the left field line and into the seats, out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. And Rasmus now has seen his average dip to under 250. He's at 245 with a couple of home runs and 11 RBIs. On Friday night, that game was washed out. So was his 3rd home run of the season.
Cardinals were off to a good start with that one with a 2-0 lead.
1-2.
Loesch was pitching well. He got that lead. But a lot of Kobe's problems is he has had a miserable time trying to hit left-handed pitching.
1-2 pitch. 2-2. Which will be interesting to see how Tony wants to play it when Ankiel gets back. Rick at times has struggled against those lefties. Rasmus is struggling against lefties. You have Duncan who hits from that side. That makes the importance of Ludwig even greater when you see left-handed pitching. As a team, the Cardinals are hitting roughly around 210, 215 against the lefties this year. So they need Ludwig back in there.
Absolutely. And you mentioned also as Kobe walks, is, you know, that Albert hasn't been himself either during this time. Whether he's trying to take on so much responsibility, but, you know, his numbers have been down.
Here's Brian Barton.
And that's a good sign too, because one of the other factors is the Cardinals have not been walking as much as they have, or have those base runners on in front of you when you do get your hits.
Firestone leaderboard at the top of your screen. You see Barton hitting 283. This is National League RBI ratio leaders. And Pujols number 2, and also Prince Fielder in there at number 3.
Banya's been a big pickup. There's Ludwig at 6. Banya's has really been worth every penny that Phillies paid for him in the offseason.
No doubt. And he replaced Pat Burrell, who was signed by Tampa.
And
apparently
a neck issue.
Yeah, he's dealing with that and put on the DL. One ball, one strike on Barton. Colby is leaning. Let's see if they want to test him. And Barton shoots it foul.
I wonder if he realizes how much he's leaning. Sometimes when you do that, you know, it's a one-way lead, but your only intent is to come back. You know, you're leaning so far toward second, but you're coming back to first base.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Barton. So Braden Looper, 3 seasons with the Cardinals. He won 33 games. 12-14 as a starter last year. First year as a starter, he was 12-12. And they've talked a little bit about him breaking down on the backside and not throwing downhill, meaning that a lot of his pitches are up like that. Try to explain that to the fans out there, Al, the breakdown of your backside.
Well, you're almost throwing uphill to a degree. And, you know, you have a theory now of tall and fall. That's somewhat of what Wellemeyer is going through also. And, you know, being tall so you can get on a downward plane. And if you're collapsing your backside, you're kind of throwing uphill.
Probably would explain the home runs as well with pitches up and getting beat up in the zone.
Ball up has a tendency to become a fly ball, and hitters are big and strong, ball hard, smaller ballparks result in a lot more home runs.
Runner goes, and the pitch is fouled. Last 3 starts, 1-2. ERA close to 8 for Looper. And we showed you before, he's 2-0 to start this year in his first 4 outings.
He might have just kind of hit a wall, because you normally do that a lot in spring training, but he had very little spring training because of the oblique strain. So you get off to a good start, and then your arm kind of stretches out, and you got to pitch to build up the arm strength.
And it seemed like he would do that in the regular season with the Cardinals last 2 years.
He would have a spell to where, like you said, whether it was 3 or 4 starts, that everything would go south, and he'd kind of recover. You know, not so much a physical thing, but just maybe just lack of arm strength.
Looper, look what I found. Out number 3 as Barton grounds out. Cardinals strand a runner. We play 2. Hardy, Braun, infielder coming up. No score. Ballpark Tuesday, June 16th. All scouts and their family and friends can purchase discounted seats, and all scouts will receive a special Cardinals patch. For details, call 345-9500 or stlcardinals.com/scouts. Here's J.J. Hardy to lead it off in the third. The first pitch is taken a low and away. He was hit by a pitch back in the first inning and then left stranded. The Brewers stranded, the bases loaded in the first. That's lined into right center field in trouble. That will go to the wall, and Hardy is on the move to second base. Rasmus quickly gets it back in. And a leadoff double for J.J. Hardy, and it brings in Ryan Braun.
J.J. had 24 home runs last year at the shortstop department. Kind of loads up with his hands back there, but watch how he loads up on the backside, pulls the hands closer in, and ball jumps off his bat. I've always felt that, you know, he really was the kind of a guy that you overlook in their lineup until last year when those 24 home runs get your attention. But I've always considered him to be a big cog in their offense.
Here is Ryan Braun. 5th overall pick back in 2005 from Mission Hills, California.
He can hit. Flat out hit. Most struck him out the first time, made him look bad on a breaking ball down and away.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. And he hits it out of play. After 2 years of the big leagues, Braun had 71 home runs. That was tied with Pujols at that point in his career, behind Eddie Matthews, Ralph Kiner, and Joe DiMaggio. Think about that.
I don't think he came up until late May.
That's right.
That first year. Made something like 26 errors at third base.
And that's a good piece of hitting. Hits it down the first base line. It's 1-0 Milwaukee. Braun on his way to second, in there with a double. Back-to-back doubles, and it's 1-0 Brewers. Picks up his 29th RBI.
A way to defense that is Albert off the line, and this time he goes with the ball away, just hits it inside the first base line, trades places with J.J. Hardy, and the Brewers have their lead. Look how late he swung and keeps that ball fair. You know, your good hitters, it's amazing sometimes where they'll take that ball right out of the catcher's glove.
And I'm sure he takes a peek and looks at defensively how the Cardinals are playing him, which is that shift. Now the shift is back on for Fielder the other way.
Right. He determined that he was going to at least advance the runner with nobody out. He does one better by driving him in.
Well, you have to give the scouting department of Milwaukee all the credit in the world with some of these players that they've been able to bring in with the high draft choices and the right choices. It's still a crapshoot. I mean, you're not sure what you're getting at times, and they have chosen wisely.
We've seen organizations that, you know, would take the signability approach. Wouldn't draft the best players, but they draft ones they know they could sign at a much lower price.
Ryan Braun talks about making adjustments in the at-bat. You can see that shift is on just at the right part of your screen. Pujols well off the line.
Yeah, so far off the line he has no chance on it, and you know the scouting report shows that he pulls the ball, but there just a real good piece of hitting, ball away, and he hit it where they weren't.
2 balls and 1 strike. Corey Hart, 11th round in 2000. Hardy was a 2nd round pick in 01. Fielder, 1st round in 02. Ricky Weeks, 1st round 03. Gallardo, 2004, 2nd round. Talked about Braun being a 1st round pick. And then sometimes you take those guys, those highly touted prospects, and spin them for major league ready players. Matt Laporta, who was their 1st round pick in 07, picked him out of Florida, and they said, their GM Doug Melman said that they picked him, as you see the walk leaders, because they possibly could get a player ready, meaning right now, and Sure enough, they got CC Sabathia. Nobody complaining about that deal. They lose out on Laporta, who's got a great future, but Sabathia gets him in the playoffs for the first time in nearly 3 decades.
3 or 4 years, 5 years from now, you're going to be complaining about that deal.
Sure. North Star is making this Sunday extra special. Kansas City in town. Ice cream Sundays beginning 2 hours prior to the game in the Ford Plaza. Music, fun, games, and don't forget free ice cream while supplies last. North Star Ice Cream Sundays. CC Sabathia was 9-0 in his first 11 starts. And his final 3 starts all came on 3 days rest. And he pitched a complete game on the final day of the season to get them in the playoffs.
Right. He had a lot of complete games, and his first one was against the Cardinals.
It was just nasty.
Complete game shutout against him.
I wonder if the Yankees will regret that contract in 4 or 5 years.
Probably.
Good chance, huh?
Very good chance.
It's a pitcher. You don't know what could happen to his shoulder, his arm.
And his banker saying, no regrets.
I'm sure. Runners at first and second. Nobody out for Mike Cameron. Looks at a strike. You know, we were talking about the Brewers defensively and how much better they got. 2007, they were near the bottom in not just the National League, but all of baseball with their defense. They were terrible. And Mike Cameron has helped shore that up. 3-time Gold Glover in center field. Also some pop at the plate. 0-2.
Jam him right there. Awkward swing as he couldn't keep his right hand on the bat. Time for a double play ball. Start the runners and hit a triple play.
The next 2, Mike Cameron with 2 runners on and nobody out. This is in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I was trying to think the last triple play of the Cardinals' turn, and I want to say it involved J.D. Drew. And I can't remember what game that was. Why I remember J.D. Drew.
You're saying turn, so they turned it defensively.
Inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Kyle got off to a good start, throwing a lot of sinkers this season. And see how intent Dave Duncan is watching him. 57 pitches already, 28 balls, 29 strikes. And that's what's probably driving Dave crazy.
2 runners on. Here's a 2-2. Popped up. Foul territory. Pujols on the move. And he makes the catch and a heads-up play to quickly fire over to third right at the bag. Nice play by the Gold Glover Pujols.
Pretty impressive right there. Just the instincts as he's running there trying to make that catch. He knew exactly what he was going to do. Look at no hesitation. Just spins and throws. Just make sure that Ryan Braun doesn't try to advance. No hesitation at all. And just the, that quick throw, accurate throw. Looking up, 2 hands. Boy, isn't that great to see? 1, it gets him closer. 1, you make sure you trap that ball in there. And then 2, when you're going to make that snap throw, you don't have to delay and reach it in for the glove. Your hand's right there.
And now it's Corey Hart. Hart lined out to right, first time up. First and second, 1 out. Hart was the internet vote last year for the All-Star game. Final player selected for the National League. Hit .268 last year with 20 home runs and 91 RBIs. Outfield is straight away and deep for Hart. 2-0.
Behind the count.
The Brewers have gone from 4.5 games out to up by a game and a half. with the Chicago Cubs. The Cardinals are 2 games back. That's a strike. 2-1.
Brewers are hitting the Cardinals at the right time, and when this homestand is over, we go to Milwaukee before going to San Francisco. So at that time, we will have Ludwig back. He will be eligible the first day of that Milwaukee series, and Ankiel will be back on Wednesday.
Good pitch. Strike 2. April 21st. Milwaukee was 4-9. Pitching looked thin. Lineup was very inconsistent. Since then, they have rattled off 19 of 24.
Best record in baseball since that time.
Count even, 2-2. Lowe's would love the double play here. He'll take a strikeout. From 2-0 to a strikeout. Second on the night.
Kind of a hanging breaking ball, but gets away with it.
The Exmo Cam presented by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill.
Tight fingers held together right there, and then the slider.
And Lowe's wants to visit again. So Matt Gamble, the third baseman, is digging in with 2 runners on. He did appear in 2 games with the Brewers last season. Made his major league debut against the Mets.
He's 23 years of age. Won't turn 24 until late July.
The stadium still filling up. So we had a big crowd on Friday. Of course, those tickets could be redeemed tonight for this ball game.
Hey, there's still seats available for the Cup Series, which starts tomorrow. They need that 10th man. Need the fans to come out and support us.
0-1 pitch with 2 outs and 2 runners on. Just missed. We'll pass along our best wishes to the family of C.J. Aubuchon, who was a friend of Al and I's, who would come up to the booth, and unfortunately, very sad that he passed away at the age of 19.
He was a fighter, though, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. So we want to wish the Aubuchons nothing but the best of luck, and we miss CJ already. He would come up to the booth an awful lot. Battled cancer and passed away over the weekend. 1-2 the count on Matt Gamble. That is how you spell his name. M-A-T, Matt Gamble. Spoils that pitch.
Anything to shorten an autograph, right?
Hey, if that's what it takes, you got to do what you got to do. When you sign your autograph, you could just give it the old Al Rabowski. You put, though, in quotations, the Mad Hungarian. You have extended your autograph, and you also put psych up on it. I mean, that is a lot. It is.
It is. There's times when I hate the nickname. And you named one of them.
Here's a 1-2. Gamble jumps on the pitch out to deep right field, and it's gone. Into the bullpen it goes. It's a 3-run homer, and Gamble picks up his first, and it's 4-0 Milwaukee. So his first major league home run, a 3-run homer.
Lightning quick does this ball get out. He didn't get extended at all, as you can see. You know, he gets it out on the sweep part of the bat, but he's a little bit jammed in the way he's swinging at this. But he jumped on this pitch. I think he's not having the full extension. His arms are crooked. They're cocked at the elbow. And he gets a silent treatment where now they start congratulating him. That's somebody's. They always love to do that.
Well, when you're winning, everything's fun like that.
Oh, sure. You know, I mean, you sit there and you hit the home run, you go in, you think you're going to get congratulated, and they totally ignore you. But look at how the elbow is cocked, and he doesn't have the extension. Just shows you the upper body strength. He just muscled that ball, the line drive out.
So Gamble picks up his first in the big leagues. A 3-run homer. Here's Kendall, who singled his first time up.
That's all they need is another home run hitter, right?
Yeah. But again, you know, you give them credit for how they've drafted. Not all these guys have been, you know, the 3rd or 4th or 5th overall pick. And the gentleman that ran their drafts is now the GM with Seattle.
It's funny, though, Dan, where years ago, you really didn't ever rate a draft by what you did in the first couple rounds. It's how many of the 40th rounders made it.
Barton with it over to Albert. 380 feet off the bat of Matt Gamble, his first in the big leagues, and then the silent treatment. Brewers with a 4-0 lead. Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. Little baby there, and that could be Jeff Suppan pretty soon.
Yeah. Saw Dana after Friday night's game, and she informed us that they're expecting their first child. Congratulations to the Suppans.
Due in October. As Kyle Loge takes a ball, low and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. We're underway here in the 3rd inning. Bottom half for the Cardinals. It'll be Loge, then Tyler Green, and Skip Schumacher. Chop towards 3rd. Gamble with it and makes the play. Cardinals with 1 base hit so far. That's the Stavanoa base hit. Rivalry returns to St. Louis. Cardinals and Cubs, 3-game series starting tomorrow here on Fox Sports Midwest. Coverage starts at 6:30 with Cardinals Live. Cardinals and Cubs tomorrow. That'll be in high definition only here on Fox Sports Midwest. And in that series, Chris Carpenter returns to the mound.
Wednesday. I'll look forward to that.
Maybe that will give this team a little shot in the arm. You can just see it's just a down time right now around the ballpark.
Well, and Tony batting the pitcher 8th, he only does that when he thinks the team is offensively challenged, and he's right about it now. But we always admired Tony La Russa for worries about what he has and not what he's missing.
Tyler Green pops it up on the infield to his counterpart J.J. Hardy. With all these young players, Al, how much do you think they're going to see the off-speed pitches like Suppan did over the weekend, where you get these guys a little bit too over-anxious?
It's the difference between the big leagues and the minor leagues. You know, you have to assume everyone can hit the fastball. What they can't hit is the quality of your off-speed pitches. They're better at this level. And so if you have any kind of combination of changing speeds like a Suppan and can throw numerous off-speed pitches, you know, you're going to have this offense in trouble.
Schumacher hits it out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, nobody on. Ken Maka was asked about the turnaround of his club, and he said much of it is due to Trevor Hoffman. He said because then our bullpen guys could slide into their roles out there in the bullpen. We know what we have at the end of games with Trevor, and the fact that they're starting to get good starting pitching. Parra, you know, took to the mound yesterday with a lead in the first, and you know, the big at bat was probably Thurston as a pinch hitter. He walked 4, but was able to get out of that jam. That'll slice out of play, but you take to the mound on the road with that kind of lead, softens it a little bit when you go out there.
Now, for a team that's hitting the home runs like they do, Ken Maka has also stated that they've played an awful lot of close ball games. But pretty much you know that you're going to get some run support.
2-2 hit the other way. Braun on the move. Dives! Oh, what a play by Ryan Braun to take the hit away. A tremendous play by Braun in left field. A visiting player, and even the fans at Busch applaud the effort and the catch by Ryan Braun to take an extra base hit away. Ryan Braun, of course, known for his bat, not for the glove, but a terrific play in left field.
Absolutely. You stated it earlier that, you know, he moved from third base, where he was horrible, to left field. Did not make an error last year and has not made an error yet this year. And there was an outstanding play coming off the bat of a left-handed hitter, slicing away from him. That was as good as we've seen.
Made 24 errors as a rookie at third base, and when he was in college at the University of Miami, he was actually a shortstop, was Ryan Braun. It's an off-speed pitch, and Looper strikes out. So let's take another look at the defensive play of the game so far. The Home Depot doing more on defense, slicing off the bat of Schumacher, and an outstanding play. If that gets by Braun, it's definitely a triple.
say, slice away, diving. You know, today's baseball, a lot of guys leave their feet when they don't need to. He needed to in that case, and does a good job of holding on.
Here's Craig Counsell, 4-0 Milwaukee. If you just joined us, they picked up their 4 runs in the third inning. There's Braun. And they picked up 3 on 1 swing of the bat. A home run by Matt Gamble, his first in the big leagues.
Milwaukee Brewers pitchers, starting pitchers, feel like, I just go down and keep the opposition, keep them, from scoring. I know my team's going to score. For the Cardinals now, starting pitching almost feels like they have to throw a shutout, and obviously they're putting too much pressure on themselves because they have not pitched well.
Counsell, a 38-year-old from South Bend, Indiana, graduated from Notre Dame with a degree in accounting. And he has said on numerous occasions, I hope I never ever have to use that degree because I like this baseball stuff. This is fun. Well, this is what we were talking about, Al, before, the difference in the stance.
You see how the hands way above his head, really stretched out the body, still standing erect, but hands much lower and a much more simplified batting. And when you're not playing every day, you can't have that exaggerated stance and get to the ball, especially when you get a little older.
NLCS MVP in 01 when he was with Arizona. They beat the Yankees, and he was on base for Luis Gonzalez. Game-winning hit. Counsell was hit by a pitch to bring up Gonzalez. That's a foul ball. Of course, everybody remembers back in '97 he was with the Marlins. Charles Nagy was on the mound for the Indians. Renteria base hit up the middle, and Counsell would score the winning run.
He's always hit well, nearly 400 in this ballpark, and over 400 when facing Loesch. That's why he got the start, but he's 0 for 2 tonight.
His spikes from that World Series game in Cooperstown. He's got 4 kids. Now that would be kind of neat. Walk into Cooperstown, you show your kids your spikes and say, oh yeah, by the way, I was wearing those when I helped cross the plate for the winning run to win the World Series. So those are in Cooperstown. 12th Major League season. Colorado, Florida, Arizona, and now with Milwaukee.
Yeah, I have to show you all the things I have in the Hall of Shame.
Do you have anything in the Hall of Fame?
I said the Hall of Shame.
I've got
lots of things in the Hall of Shame.
Trust me, I know. I've been around.
I do have one thing there that I know of.
In the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. It's a baseball card. Because they have the whole sheet of the entire year.
Well, at least you're there.
Right.
You're in there. Strikeout for Loesch, his 5th here tonight.
Affleck.
Look at the Affleck trivia question. Who had a better winning percentage as manager of the Oakland A's, Ken Maka or Tony La Russa? And I can tell you this, Ken Maka in his 4 years averaged 92 wins.
Took them to the playoffs a couple years.
Billy Beane fired him, and of course Tony was there for a number of years. Had some championship teams, but I mean, think about that. You average 92 wins in 4 years and you get fired.
He's a good baseball man.
Here's Barden, backhands, makes the play, and the first 1, 2, 3 inning for Loesch. What's on tap, presented by Bud Light. The Cubs make their way to St. Louis tomorrow night. Joel Pinheiro making his 8th start of the season. Ted Lilly, a lefty, going for Chicago. And again, the Cardinals have really struggled as a team against those lefties this year.
It just seems like every left-hander that's on the planet is pitching against the Cardinals these days. And by design.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, you know, Tony looks so far ahead in advance in trying to get the matchups. For instance, you know, you got Carpenter going against the Cubs, and then you get him back for Monday against Milwaukee. You know, two teams that you're probably going to be chasing this year. Stavanoa out to left, but Braun is there. That's twice he has hit the ball hard, and it brings in Pujols. Pujols, first time up, missed a home run by about 6 inches. Just foul, and then grounded back to the pitcher Looper for a double play. It's a game of inches.
Very much so. Going back to Stavanoa and the way he's swinging the bat right now is, you know, when Carpenter and Ankiel come off the disabled list on Wednesday, you have to make a couple choices, and one of the things is, you know, Stavanoa swinging the bat like he's doing tonight, you know, is a little bit intriguing because he has power.
1-2. Milwaukee, for the most part, has been pitching to Albert Pujols here in this series. Pujols is jammed, and he pops it up. Foul territory. Gamble is there for out number 2. Brings in Chris Duncan with 2 outs. Baseball fun facts. Claude Berry, while playing for the White Sox in 1904, became the first major league catcher to wear a protective cup. Wonder if that made it to the Hall of Fame. 2 outs, nobody on, and this is Duncan.
Wonder why they discovered there was a need for
And for all your complaining out there and complaints about our fun facts, that's Keith O'Brien coming up with that gem.
I like them.
I know that must have been one of your favorites there. Right?
Yes. Chris Perez is throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. A little surprising, isn't it?
At this point in the game, yeah. But if you're Tony, though, you're saying, all right, my guy threw on Friday night. You know, probably couldn't go overly deep in this game. He hasn't been sharp so far. I'm going to need my bullpen. But why Perez this early?
Well, Thompson threw 3 innings yesterday. So that was one of the problems, is you don't have your quote-unquote long man available for this one. Dan, just think about it. When they used to have a 4-man rotation, okay, and then they used to throw batting practice in between starts. Guys are bigger, stronger, and threw, I don't care how many pitches threw Friday night, you should be able to go 100+ innings or pitches.
But I would say to you, they're not conditioned that way anymore.
How can you not be conditioned?
They're not, though, Al. I'm telling you, we see it time and again. You know, these guys, and I'm not talking about Lowe's here, I'm just talking in general in baseball.
Yeah, I know exactly. And for me, the life,
the minor leagues,
you baby the heck out of them, and they all get hurt anyway.
It's fouled back. Hey, I'm with you.
I know you are.
But I'm just trying to think of reasons why guys don't go deeper. I talked to Bob Forsch the other day, who, by the way, is working with the Cincinnati Reds.
Yes, and the minor leagues. Right?
Yeah, rookie ball. And Walt Jocketty hired him. Duncan hits it a ton down the right field line, but foul. I asked him that question. I said, why do you see that? And he said, it's not so much that am I worried about that. He said, I worry about when these guys get to me, they just don't know the fundamentals of the game right now. He said, when we came up, at least when I was signed, he said, I felt I knew the game at least halfway decent. Some of the fundamentals. He said right now you find yourself teaching the simplest of things to guys that are playing professional baseball that probably should already know.
And there's more teaching done at the major league level today than ever before. Guys used to stay in the minor leagues long enough to where they were pretty much a finished product, and then they just came up here and, you know, learned from your teammates and the veterans.
3-2. Oh, he just missed. Wow.
Now that's 2 pitches in that sequence that I think Looper thought both were strikes. Where's this pitch? Should have looked good from our angle. And he's jumping away from that pitch right down the middle.
Kendall is talking right now with the home plate umpire. Those conversations have to be delicate because you can't upset the home plate umpire, but you certainly want to get an explanation so you can tell your pitcher.
Tim Timmons is our umpire. And you're right. You look ahead, but you're talking behind you.
Slowly hit to second, and Molina is retired. We played 4 here in St. Louis. Cardinals have stranded 2. Looper and the Brewers lead at 4-0. St. Louis. Ryan Braun has had a big night, both at the plate and defensively. This was his double to right with the shift on past Albert Pujols. That would score J.J. Hardy. Lovely. How about this play from Ryan Braun off the bat of Schumacher as he took a hit away. Outstanding play.
After 89 pitches, Kyle Loesch threw 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, all earned. He walked 3, hit a batter, struck out 5, and allowed 1 home run. And now you got to have the bullpen has to pitch 5 innings in this game, as Perez appearing for the 15th time. He's done a nice job after starting out in the minor leagues. He had a little tendonitis in spring training, got set back a little bit. Need to work on his consistency on not only the slider but even throwing strikes with the fastball.
2 balls and no strikes on Ryan Braun. Braun, Fielder, and Cameron for Milwaukee. Talked about Ken Maka being a very good baseball man. Been in baseball nearly 40 years as a player, coach, and now manager. 6 years he played in the major leagues with Pittsburgh, Montreal, and Toronto, and he finished up over in Japan.
Kind of a backup catcher. You know, then you, like you say, you paid your lot of dues.
A couple of Miami guys here with Perez and Braun, and Molina out to visit. 4 straight to Braun, and he's walked. The line on Kyle Loesch, 4 innings, 4 runs, 4 hits, All the runs were earned. He walked 3, struck out 5, gave up a home run, and hit a man. Prince Fielder with 2 walks. Ken Maka, by the way, gets a 2-year deal. He has a civil engineering degree from the University of Pittsburgh, where he was born and raised. He's also a black belt in Taekwondo. So don't mess with him. He comes out, you're that starter, you don't want to come out of the game. Could be in trouble. That pitch is taken for a ball. That's 5 straight to start this inning. You know, Oakland had a lot of turnover, as Dave Duncan saw that with players in a small market team. And Doug Melvin has said, hey, we're in the same boat here in Milwaukee, and maybe Ken Maka is the right guy for us. A little different than Ned Yost, who would stick with players for a long time. And Ken Maka came in with no idea about certain players and said whoever plays well is going to play for me. If I hurt feelings along the way, so be it. That's what I'm paid here to do, is to win games.
Yeah, I mean, he's a nice man. He just doesn't go out of his way to be mean or anything like that. He just utilizes his baseball knowledge, makes decisions. He's got a sounding board with his coaching staff and general manager. And he walked into a pretty good situation as this team is just starting to blossom. Very, very talented, learning now how to win.
1 ball, 1 strike. Fielder takes a strike on the outside corner with that slider. Prince Fielder, the youngest in the history of baseball to hit 50 home runs. Just missed. Last year he had 34 home runs. That was 8th best in the National League, over 100 RBIs.
After hitting 50 home runs, he decided to be a vegetarian.
And he went down to 34.
And went down to 34 now.
Gets a healthy rip, doesn't he?
He's always been healthy at the table.
Yes, he has.
I mean, wouldn't you do that when you maybe struggle, instead of hitting 50 and then decide to become a vegetarian?
His wife encouraged him to do it.
Then you do it.
That's the bottom line, Al. I mean, you don't worry about the home runs. If Mama says do it, you got to do it.
Okay, then now I buy it.
I was going to give you a logical excuse.
Too.
2-2 the count. There's a slider again, misses outside. 3-2. Tomorrow the Cubs in town. Ted Lilly and Joel Pinheiro on the air at 6:30. Three-two pitch, runner goes, and it's taken for a ball. And Perez has come in and walked the first 2 that he's seen. Fielder has walked 3 times tonight. Mike Cameron will be the hitter.
What is with all the walks? 7 walks by Wellemeyer yesterday and hit 2 batters. Loesch during his 4 innings walked 3 and hit a batter. Now Perez walks the first 2. You're having trouble scoring runs, and you're just inviting a big inning.
So Wellemeyer walked 7 alone yesterday. First and second for Cameron. Foul back. Milwaukee 23-14. The Cardinals 21-16. And in this ball game, Tony La Russa not sticking very long with Kyle Loesch here tonight.
Very surprising. Only 89 pitches. I mean, try to squeeze at least another inning out of him. Of course, we don't know if there was something physically wrong or
Wouldn't think so, the way that he was pitching. He looked fine.
And his last inning was his most successful. Now, the one thing that's alarming with Loesch is you look at what has happened to him in the 5th and 6th innings is horrible. But tonight he didn't get a chance to, to make it redeem himself in that area. 1
ball, 1 strike. It's really been a tough year for Loesch in many ways because he had the elbow that was hit. He was sick. He had a knee issue.
Yeah, I mean,
he finally is feeling healthy right now.
And that was the one thing he said is, for about 2 or 3 starts, he didn't have a chance to do a bullpen session in between.
1-2. Corey Hart on deck. Cameron has walked and also popped out to Albert Pujols. Rockies win over the Braves today, 5-1 that final.
"15 pitches thrown by Perez, 10 of them have been balls."
And the count even here, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Putting back on their heels defensively.
A 2-2 pitch. Cameron, a swing and a miss, and he strikes out. First strikeout and first out recorded for Chris Perez. And with 1 out, Corey Hart will be the hitter. He lined out with the bases loaded back in the 1st and struck out with runners at 1st and 2nd. He alone is stranded 5 tonight, so here he is again with a chance to do some damage.
See if Chris can't get a slider down the way and get a little ground ball to the right side, or roll it over and hit a ground ball to short.
So 1st and 2nd with 1 out. Hart looks at a strike.
Good fastball there to get ahead in the count.
Yankees leading in their game over the Twins 7-4. The Marlins on top of the Diamondbacks 1-0. 0-1 pitch. There's the slider again, fouled back, strike 2. A lot of pitches have been up here from Perez, in particular with his fastball.
Not a bad idea. 0-2 to elevate a ball and get him to chase. Or was he?
Here it comes. It's the slider again and fouled back off Molina. Now, Al, you were on a number of teams that struggled at times, and everybody in baseball goes through these ruts. It's such a long season, but how do you get out of this? Because right now, nothing is working.
Well, what you really have to do is just, everybody look in the mirror and say, what can I do? Don't worry about the other guy. Don't be pointing fingers at one element of the club. Just what can I do to make this club better?
Hart strikes out. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts in the inning.
There's a fastball up, but it had good location, tying him up inside. The old-fashioned, up and in, down and away.
Matt Gamble has the big blast in this game. His 3-run homer back in the 3rd. We showed you that swing. It looked like he was almost tied up and still was able to yank it out of the ballpark. So Hardy's prime cut of the game off the bat of Matt Gamble.
See, from this angle, you can kind of see where we're talking about. He doesn't get the hands extended and really kind of pulls the elbows into his midsection and jammed on that, but just muscled it out on a line drive leaving the park.
Slider a little bit low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Hit
1
20
for 2 with that home run.
Had 20 home runs last year, 19 at AA and 1 at AAA level. But he only played 5 games, I believe, at AAA.
First 2 reached via the walk, then 2 strikeouts. The 1-1 pitch.
another thing that as a team you can't feel sorry for yourself. You know, you've got to create your good luck. You've got to battle your way through it. And because of all the injuries, it's created a lot of opportunities for guys. If they can go out here and really show something.
3-1. So he falls behind again. Missing with that slider. Down and in on Gamble. Milwaukee picked up their 4 runs back in the 3rd. Here's a 3-1 pitch. And he has walked the bases loaded.
He will strike out the side. Make sure he does it right now.
So bases loaded for the 8th place hitter, Jason Kendall, who is singled. That base hit was hit number 2,000 in his career. And also grounded out to 3rd. And bust this game wide open with a base hit here. Still within reach when you're at 4 runs.
Yes.
And that pitch is up. Inning started with a walk to Ryan Braun. He stands at 3rd. Right after that, fielder walked. He's at 2nd. 2 strikeouts and then a walk to Gamble. Bases loaded. 1-0 by Perez. Slider. 1 ball, 1 strike. This crowd is quiet right now here at Busch Stadium.
It's like Kendall just waiting for a fastball.
Got it and couldn't pull the trigger. 1-2.
You know, smart hitter. You know, he knows that he's got a good fastball, but you know the inconsistency of the slider. So you go up there, especially when you take out 2 strikes, you look for the fastball.
1-2 pitch. Up the middle. Base hit. 1 run is in. They'll hold up fielder, and it's 5-0. On a 1-2 pitch, Kendall picks up his 2nd base hit, and a run scores. That's Braun, and it's 5-0.
Slider he throws. Look where it ends up. As Molina set up away, and it is just pretty much right down the middle. All he's trying to do is make contact. Just throws it right out there in shallow center field. They only can score 1. And he picks up his 14th RBI.
Here's Looper. First pitch, a strike. Of course, Looper was part of the Renteria deal with the Cardinals. He was shipped to Florida, and the Cardinals picked up Edgar Renteria. That's what we're talking about. You get those prospects, you ship them away at times if you're on the cusp of being a championship team, which the Cardinals were.
Sure. Looper, former #1 draft pick of the Cardinals out of Wichita State, was a closer for them, and still remember his first Major League appearance. He struck out the side against the Dodgers.
0-2 pitch. Looper hits it down the right field line and out of play. Came up with the Cardinals in '98. In 5 years with the Florida Marlins, 2 with the Mets as their closer, 3 in St. Louis. First year, remember, he was signed by Walt Jocketty as kind of an insurance policy in case Isringhausen was hurt, and if not, then he was a setup man.
Kind of overpaid him for a setup man, but became a very inexpensive starter.
He sure did. 0-2 pitch. 1-2. And he'll tell you now this is what he wants to do. He wants to be a starter.
Right. You know, he's big and strong. He had, you know, numerous pitches, so he had all the elements and just had the opportunity. But you give him a lot of credit because when the suggestion was made, you know, he bought into it and made himself a major league starter.
He was 1 inning shy of 200 last year, and there's the strikeout. So he strikes out the side, but walks 3 and gives up the RBI single. 5-0 Milwaukee.
brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. By McDonald's. Order a Big Mac extra value meal at McDonald's and get huge discounts on great seats. Well, the Cardinals are going to have to battle back now. They trail 5-0 as Looper has shut out the Cardinals on only one hit off the bat of Stavinoa, and then he was erased in a double play. So he's pitching effectively here in the 5th inning, 4 shutout innings. And Loesch gave up a 4 spot in the 3rd inning with a 3-run home run to Gamble, and then last inning they got a run off of Chris Perez. Kobe Rasmus walked his first time up. Loopers allowed 1 hit and walked 2.
How about that line last inning for Mr. Perez?
I said he would strike out the side. I hoped it was before Kendall's base hit.
So 3 strikeouts and 3 walks in the inning to go along with the single. The Cardinals have to climb back in this game down by 5 runs. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Colby and a swing and a miss. Rasmus, Barden in the 8th spot in the lineup for the Cardinals, which is Chris Perez. That last pitch right underneath the hands, and a very good delivery there from Looper. Line shot that's caught by Counsell. Nothing going right for the Cardinals tonight.
Well, Looper's letting them hit the ball, and the defense has made a couple nice plays, including Counsell right here.
When they signed Counsell, being a hometown guy from Milwaukee, as you see, just a 1 base hit for the Cardinals. The idea was that he'd be a leader for the young guys on this team. You know, J.J. Hardy, Weeks, Hall, and he's been more than that. Counsell has been a guy that can play short, second, third, and now with the injury to the top of their lineup, he's going to see even more playing time, but a veteran and a guy that has won before.
They also know he developed a knee problem in spring training and elected not to have surgery. So they're wondering, you know, how much they can get out of it. But like Cameron, Counsell is a very solid guy that, you know, can help teach these guys what they need to know, and it sure doesn't hurt to have a couple World Series rings on his finger.
Playing the biggest stage and delivered. No balls and 2 strikes.
Amazing he can play as well as he does with a non-Rawlings glove.
Here we go. That was your first Rawlings reference of the season.
There's a Gold Glove winner.
Barden rips it. Fair ball. Diving stop. Gamble throws to first, and what a play.
You were saying they were worried about his defense?
Not after watching that play and that arm.
Well, I saw the arm a little bit earlier, but it gives you an indication he can rifle it over there. But how about the stop? As it right over the bag, dives for it, as it truly went right over the bag and then scrambles to his feet. And he's a difference maker with that throw. That is an outstanding big league play right there. At least, like Braun out there, you know, Looper's getting the benefit of some very good defense. But that's what it's all about when you make people hit the ball.
Here's Shane Robinson. Shane was saying the other day how many people doubted him ever getting to the big leagues because of his size at 5'9". That's what he's listed at.
Listed and exaggerated by maybe 2 inches.
They get a lot of playing time in right field. The injury to Ludwig. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Perez goes an inning for the Cardinals and gives up a run.
Only gives up a run, but threw way too many pitches.
Just see the frustration on Dave Duncan's face and some of those shots that we had of him in that Cardinal dugout. Robinson, a ground ball too short. Braden Looper, just 1 hit allowed through 5. top of the lineup for Milwaukee coming up. The outs this inning, the line out to Counsell. The diving stop by Matt Campbell to take a hit away. And then J.J. Hardy to get Shane Robinson. It's in sunny San Francisco on the official Cardinals road trip. Each package includes hotel accommodations, game tickets, and an exclusive Cardinals event. Reserve your spot on the road trip May 29th through June 1st. Call 800-892-7687 or visit stlcardinals.com/road trip. And here's Jason Mott, the hard-throwing right-hander for the Cardinals. Third pitcher used by St. Louis this evening, as he follows Loge and Perez.
Both Mott and Chris Perez, as they've been trying to work on off-speed pitches, their velocity has diminished.
So Chevrolet called to the bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike on Counsell. And he'll hit it to Pujols, ranging to his left, and Mott beats him to the bag.
Cardinals throw a little leather at Milwaukee, show them they can play that same game.
We talked to Jason Mott the other day about his adventures moving into a pitcher's role from being a catcher, converted catcher now to a pitcher. And he said it was Bruce Mano that originally came up with the idea. They loved his arm. And when he was at Iona in college, a number of scouts saw the arm and said, look, we don't project him as being a major league hitter, but we love his arm. Let's get him on the mound. And Iona's head coach, along with Mott, discouraged that. They said, no, if he's going to be drafted, he wants to catch. Well, he couldn't hit a curveball. That's according to Jason Mott. And now you see him here on the mound. And really, this has been a pretty quick transition, because he was moved to the mound basically in the 06 season. He had Pop Warner as his manager in 05, who we talked about before, and they came to him in the first half and said, look, we'd like you to move to pitching. He said, I'd like to give it another shot to try to catch and hit, wait until the break. And within a month of the 06 season, he was moved to the bullpen.
And a lot of times that option is, okay, you go home, here's your release, or get on the mound.
And that's what he said. Mark Riggins, of course, who's been in the minor leagues for a number of years helping out the Cardinals, has talked about Jason Mott being a guy that they felt could rise through the system fairly quickly because of his strong arm, and he has. 3-2 to Hardy. And there's a walk, another one issued by the Cardinals tonight.
7th walk. That'll get Tony cleaning up the dugout, kicking those used cups. Probably didn't win his tournament today.
That's not on his mind anymore, I'm sure. He's frustrated right now. Well, we've seen the very good fastball from Mott, and I asked him about his slider, which is a work in progress, and he recognizes that. And he says with his slider, it's just a feel. He said he'll go out there on the mound, and depending on how things work out from batter to batter, inning to inning, he'll have a feel for it. You see the offense this series for the Cardinals.
Look at 19 walks.
Can't win like that.
In 2.5 games. Especially when your team's not scoring runs. And I mean, it's just one of those deals where you can't, you can teach and preach about, pitching to contact, doing this and doing that, but you can't hold their hands out there. And there's no excuse for not, throwing more strikes.
1-1 the count, 1 out, runner at first. Braun has doubled tonight. That pitch in the dirt, 2 balls, 1 strike.
There's a slider.
Yeah, I found it interesting, though, that he said it's still a work in progress even at this level, to where sometimes he said, I just don't have a very good feel for it in my hand.
Well, last year when he came up to the big leagues, extremely impressive with his fastball. And he was throwing consistently 97, 98, touched triple digits. But now, because that finally was 96, but his fastest prior to that pitch has been 94. When you start working so much on your secondary pitches, it's the old theory, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I was taught, coming up through the Cardinals minor league system, that you had to throw your fastball 75% of the time to maintain its velocity. And you'll find most pitchers today won't even throw their fastball 50% of the time.
Why do you think that is?
Well, everybody says you got to have these breaking pitches, and I think everybody today forgets fastball location. How to spot your fastball and make it more than one pitch, just by changing the areas in the strike zone.
2-2 way outside, now 3-2 on Braun. Asking for trouble here, as he can catch up to that fastball and lose it in a hurry. Picked up his 29th RBI. His on base percentage at .443, and let's see if they want to run J.J. Hardy here. Avoid the double play, and also he could swipe it back. He could just do that on his own. Not running, and it's hit out of play. I asked Mott about opening day, and he said he heard everybody talking about it. A lot of people came to him afterwards after he blew that save, and he said, look, for me, and I understand the significance of opening day, but I also understand there's 161 more games. And he said the thing I took out of it is I need to mix up my pitches, get away from just the fastball. Off speed pitch, and he walked him.
When your slider's a work in progress, and you've got the 3-2 pitch, you're already trailing 5-0. Throw strikes, and that's the fastball.
Molina out to visit. 2 runners on now for Prince Fielder. A lot of people in the Brewers clubhouse talk about the intensity of Prince Fielder, and also his leadership as well. A lot of the guys feed off how intense he is on the field. They love it. Signed a 2-year, $18 million contract extension. He made $670,000 coming off a 50 home run season. Think about that. And he was upset about that contract, and a lot of people thought it would linger into the season. It did not. He had a good year. And one thing Milwaukee knows for sure is that they have Braun and Fielder locked up for this year and next year, and then reevaluate after that. Here's a 1-0.
Then they'll start buying out free agency time.
Essentially what they did with Braun.
Right.
And arbitration years too. Who knows how much?
Yeah, you just assume that they're going to continue and have, the years that they have started, and then it's worth that gamble. That, especially you said,
base hit into right.
His intensity is, they're not going to relax or lay down on it.
Yep. That makes it 6-0 as Hardy scores. And Fielder picks up his 36th RBI. So J.J. Hardy scores for the second time tonight, and it's 6-0.
Fastball, and it jams him a little bit, but hits it out to right. And J.J. coming in here. Albert alertly tries to get the runner going from third. He had no chance at home plate.
Runners at the corners now for Mike Cameron. The other thing too, Al, with the way that their market is set up, they're not going to be spending like the Yankees. You get done with 2 years of Prince Fielder, you see where he's at. You don't know where to put Gamble or somebody else, just using him as an example. You know, it's a pretty big chip out there if you wanted to restock.
Sure, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you've got to wonder about his weight and his body size. You know, as he gets older, you know, will he sustain this pace that he's on?
0-2 pitch. Cameron reaches forward and lifts it out to center. Plenty deep for the runner to tag to make it 7-0 Milwaukee. As Braun scores, and an RBI for Cameron, his 20th. So the walks come back to score. Brings in the right fielder, Corey Hart. That is frustrating there inside that dugout. Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan. It's one thing to lose games, but it's the manner in which they're losing some of these.
Exactly. And, you know, walks just, if you're physically sound, sure, you're going to walk people, and I walk my share, and I realize, you know, if there was one thing I could have changed, it would have been the amount of people I walked. But if there's no excuse for lack of concentration or trying to, you know, rear back and just be a raw thrower for walking as many as these guys are doing.
Tony, you know, has tried different things here by having Loge go tonight, trying to salvage a game in this series. Batting the pitcher 8th here tonight. He's moved Stabenow in front of Albert Pujols. Playing Barton at third base tonight. Thurston getting a rest.
Well, here's you get into a situation that, because they all try to protect these relievers, they're at pitch counts in one inning where you can't bring him back tomorrow.
3 walks issued by Jason Mott.
After Perez walked 3. After Loesch walks 3.
Then it brings in Matt Gamble. He has the big blow in this game. The 3-run homer back in the 3rd inning. And he walked in the 5th. We're only in the 6th, and it's 7-0 Milwaukee. Now, if you're Gamble, you're saying, okay, this guy's walking everybody. I might just get a pitch that's grooved here and take a pretty big hack at it. And he gets a strike.
Slider.
That's it out of play. I'm sure in the back of Tony's mind, hindsight being 20/20, you sit there and say, well, you know, should I have skipped Loge and moved him back to an original start? Gone with somebody else here tonight? I mean, all those things I'm sure are playing in his mind right now.
Sure they are, but I mean, and I'm sure Kyle will be the first one to say, no, I was fine to make this start. And I'm sure he'll take full responsibility for his ineffectiveness.
Reaching forward here, a ground ball hit to second. And Milwaukee adds to their lead with 2 more here in the top of the 6th. 7-0 Brewers. Baseball fun facts will take you back to 1934 World Series with only 2 pitchers recording wins. Dizzy and Paul Dean each won 2. The Gas House Gang. Paul was known as Daffy. I'm sure that they saw a few pitch counts in their day, Al, back in 1934.
Yeah. You know, at one time, the starting pitcher had to finish the game.
And Looper shaking his head as his club leads it by 7 runs. This is Tyler Green. Green is popped out to short. Milwaukee with 6 hits, but 7 runs tonight. Cardinals with just 1 base hit. That was Nick Stavano with a base hit up the middle in the first inning. The jam shot, shallow left, and that drops in. Hardy never was called off by Braun, and Green hustling all the way has a double. You could see Hardy was just waiting for Ryan Braun to come in and make that catch.
Ryan Braun, for whatever reason, didn't want any part of it. And very difficult for your shortstop going back there, kind of getting turned around. And Braun kind of watching. But you can see he's looking up there, not sure where it is, saying, where's my left fielder? And he's not even in the picture. Braun just gave up on it, still gives up on it, and you can see that his shortstop's fighting it.
That ball's got to be caught.
Well, it has to be caught. Looper not happy about it, but
you know what? I don't remember seeing Looper show that kind of emotion in St. Louis very often. Not that it's bad. I'm just saying.
I don't remember too many balls falling in like that either.
He's frustrated.
Well, he's trying to make a statement against his former team and try to show them that, you know, he was worthy of coming back.
Well, the Cardinals, as you mentioned, without their long man here tonight, essentially with Thompson, who pitched yesterday, they've used Martin Perez, and you're not sure what you're going to get Wednesday night from Carpenter as he makes that start against the Cubs. That has to be a little bit of a concern for Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan.
Well, you would hate to have Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan make a decision on who gets sent down right now, because fresh in their mind is walks.
Both Perez and Mott, 6 combined walks, 3 apiece. Schumacher last time up was robbed by Ryan Braun down the left field line. Fielder knocks it down, race to the bag, and the ball scoots away. No indication as to whether or not Schumacher is safe, and now the indication is made that he is, so he beat it out. And Green might have been able to score there.
I think he could have been, but with nobody out and you're trailing by so far, in plenty of time, but Looper drops the ball. See, he will step on the bag ahead of the tag or the touch of the first base. I don't know why the delayed call was, as the ball was on the ground.
Right. So now it's Stavanoa. He's had probably the best at bats of the night for the Cardinals.
Yes. 1 base hit and another line drive that he smoked to left.
There's a fly ball into shallow right. Hart makes the catch, and Green stays put at third. By the way, it's a error charged to Looper on that play, so no base hit for Schumacher.
Now the replay showed you that he was clearly out if he holds on to the ball, and it was a good delivery to Looper.
Well, Pujols is grounded into a double play and also popped out to third. You're looking for any kind of spark. You don't know who would make that much of a difference, but if the Cardinals get that home run off the bat of Pujols, who was 6 inches to the left of the foul pole, might be talking about a different game.
No doubt about it. Many times, you know, one play, or in that case, if the ball stays fair, could change the complex of a game.
Runners at the corners with 1 out. Pujols rips it to third and right at Gamble. Oh, man. That's the way things have been going.
And Albert just has to remember how hard he hit the ball and can't do anything about it. There was right out of fielder. You always got to look for the silver lining, especially when things are struggling and going bad. You know, sometimes you have to be able to convince yourself they're not as bad as what reality tells you.
First and third now for Duncan with 2 outs. The Cardinals down by 7 runs. But I mean, this is frustrating here. You get the first 2 on with nobody out at first and third. You at least have to get 1 run in. Stabenow out to shallow right. Pujols hits a rocket to third, and now you're on the cusp of coming up empty. Right down the middle for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cooper started a lot of Cardinals out with first pitch fastballs. Now the first one to Chris was out of the strike zone.
Duncan in the air, right center. Hart is there to make the catch, and the Cardinals cannot cash in. We head to the 7th, and it's 7-0 Brewers. And may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Loge, Perez, Mott, and now Kyle McClellan in for St. Louis.
See, Kyle fares better and throws more strikes and makes Tony at least a little more. Well, you don't have to run and get your stomach antacid medication. Roll weights. Talking about relief pitchers. You have to go roll weights.
Good call. 17th appearance here for Kyle McClellan. Record of 2-1.
Yeah, opponents batting under 200. Kyle has had, you know, some issues with walks. Not as good as a year ago.
It's Scott Cooper threw out the first pitch, the former Cardinal third baseman, the other day, and he'd be the first to tell you playing in St. Louis, his hometown, was not an easy thing for him to do.
No, but Kyle's come up with a good system.
There's a ground ball hit to Tyler Green for the out.
And that is, you have somebody in your family or a friend handle all ticket requests.
And for him, it's his mom and dad.
Right. And they have the ability to say no.
And it's been different, you know, when you look at Scott Cooper and some of the other guys that have played here in St. Louis. Now the ticket requests are done, you know, via the computer. So they have a password for the players to get their tickets, and he says that he doesn't even know the password. So it just goes to his mom and dad. And he said he wished that some of his buddies would actually call him during the season. They said during the 6 months of the season they don't call him because they're trying to leave him alone.
Right.
out of respect for what he's trying to do here. Looper hits it to short. Green again makes the play. Nice interview with Tyler Green on the pregame show with Jim Hayes.
Hey, it's amazing. You throw strikes, you get outs.
Here's a look at Tyler Green.
And of course, fans may not be aware, but our government now, you know, they no longer are there complimentary tickets for the players, that they deem that as revenue, and so they're taxed.
I would say most of the guys can afford it.
I would say all of them can.
Yeah, that's probably right, Al. Probably 100% can afford it.
It's not quite like the days when you talked to Bob Gibson. He was saying, like, the first World Series that he participated in, he spent more money on tickets than his World Series share. Counsell
into right, and it's time to stretch here in St. Louis. Good inning by McClellan. 7-0. Let's take a look at the Infinity game recap. It's been a tough night for the Cardinals as Kyle Loge made the start for St. Louis. Loge, 4 innings, 4 runs, all earned, 4 hits, walked 3, struck out 5, and gave up a home run. Ryan Braun with some great defense and left, taking a hit away from Skip Schumacher. Matt Gamble been on base twice, also hit a 3-run homer and made that diving play at third to take a hit away from Barden. Your Infinity game recap, and here's Brendan Ryan. First pitch by Looper to start the bottom of the 7th is taken for a ball.
Hitting for Molina. Try and give him a couple innings off.
1 ball, 1 strike. Everything was going right in April, and here in May, it's going the other direction right now for the Cardinals.
Starting pitchers were outstanding, racking up wins on a nightly basis.
Off the glove of fielder and into right. The old teammates facing the Cardinals, Suppan and Looper. Jeff Suppan, 7 innings, 6 hits, no runs. A couple of strikeouts. Looper tonight, just 2 hits allowed. 2 walks, no strikeouts. Who would have thought that 3 years ago about Looper? You know, a guy that would throw 96, 97, sometimes hit 98. There's Jeff Suppan. And again, congratulations to Sup and his wife Dana, expecting their first child in October. And Suppan against the Cardinals, he is now 5-0 since he left St. Louis against the Redbirds. Against the rest of the league, his ERA is over 5. He said it's human nature. You try not to think that it's an extra special game, but he said, how can you not? You go back to a place that you had great success He loved being here. I know his family enjoyed it, and it's extra special.
You know, she's on the trip because of their experience here and how much fun they had. Arguably the best pitcher the Cardinals had in, you know, in not only 06 but the other years too when pitched in postseason.
Colby Rasmus is lined out to second, also walked.
Cooper's approaching 100 pitches. DeFelice is warming up in their bullpen.
Down the right field line, and this ball is gone. It's a fair ball and a home run for Colby Rasmus. Finally, the Cardinals get on the board, and it's 7-2.
That makes up for the one that was taken away on Friday night, as this one will count. As Friday night, the game was washed out after a couple innings when Colby hit a 2-run home run in that one. Getting a little tired. Maybe that fork ball stayed up a little bit. And this time a line drive just inside the foul pole.
7-2, and here's Brian Barton. Just grounded back to the pitcher and then was robbed on that play by Matt Gamble. And Barton pulls it foul. But Looper in many ways reinvented himself by becoming a starter after being a hard throwing reliever and even a closer.
He made himself some money with that versatility.
Signed a 1-year deal 1 week before spring training, and the Brewers hold an option on Looper for next year.
Didn't sign, signed very late.
Slowly hit towards third. Camel makes the play on the run. No, he throws wide. And Barton on his way to second base. That's 3 errors committed by Milwaukee here tonight.
Just after we talked about the much improved defense, and just kind of you know, he really doesn't throw over the top when he does throw, and here a little bit too casual as he slings the ball over, and see he drops the arm angle and the ball will sail. So the third error.
And that's going to be it. Yeah, that's going to be it for Looper. So good outing. Looper is through, and DeFelice is coming in. It's 7-2. .3-0, 0.98 ERA, and opponents hitting 169 for a guy that was a rookie at the age of 32. And he has redefined himself here in the major leagues. He was pitching just a couple of seasons ago in independent ball Then he went to Mexico in 2006 as LaRue will be the pinch hitter. And one of his coaches said, you ought to try throwing the cutter. And now that is his bread and butter pitch at 82 miles an hour. That pitch at 80, but he'll top out around 82, 83. But he's got such good movement. The hitters know it's coming. He's throwing it. He's not disguising with anything else. It's the cutter.
It's a little bit below the hitting zone.
Now, he did mention, and there it is, before the game, that I probably need to start mixing in maybe a curveball or a changeup, just something different. But as you mentioned, and he also talked about it, said his velocity is below the hitting zone, and I've just got terrific movement on it. Now, we saw him on Saturday, and a cutter ideally shouldn't move as much as maybe his does. But when it's this good, call it a cutter, slider, whatever, he's getting people out.
Yes. And, you know, we talk about all the time, probably the most difficult thing in sports is to hit a baseball. A round spear being hit by a round bat. And, you know, to center a ball, what it takes, the hand-eye coordination is incredible.
Now the hitter, again, he knows it's coming, and he still can't hit it. It's that nasty.
If you got a good one, and remember, you know, all it has to do is move enough to where a batter can't center it.
Ken Maka has used DeFelice now in one of the primary setup roles to get to Trevor Hoffman. He's been unscored upon in 15 of his 17 outings. And the guy with arguably the best cutter that we've ever seen is Mariano Rivera of the Yankees, but he'll throw that in the low to mid 90s.
Really hasn't established that he can throw a strike with his pitches. They're all out of the strike zone that they're swinging at.
3-2 off the end of the bat. And this may drop. Braun sliding to make the catch.
Now, what's the slide for? I mean, Cameron is a Gold Glove winner out there in center, and he had no idea. So Braun this time, maybe he learned something from the other one that he let fall in. And you see where Cameron started going back, and Braun just comes in there. Feels like he has to slide. I don't quite understand that, but as long as he catches the ball, who cares? Makes it look a lot more difficult than it actually was.
Yep, and here's Tyler Green now.
And he picked up his teammate.
Runner at second base. It was off the end of the bat. Pretty big cut there by LaRue, and you could see that Cameron, as you noted, started back thinking that was going to be hit deep.
Just didn't sound good. And many times, you're as accomplished as Cameron is, you just watch where it is hit on the bat.
Up the middle, and it's taken by Hardy to first, and they get him by a step. Some good, some bad, it doesn't matter. Milwaukee leads at 7-2, and that was a fine play to his left.
Just slowly hit, takes right out of the way from Counsell, and he's got a better angle to be throwing at first base with his momentum behind him, where Counsell would be catching that ball flat-footed, and probably would, you know, Green would have beat that out. But JJ, a little stronger arm.
Skip Schumacher, 2 outs and a runner at third. There's a cutter in there for a strike. Schumacher has talked about how this transition from the outfield to second base could extend his career. You never know, maybe be a utility guy before it's all said and done.
Absolutely. One of the few hot hitters in the Cardinal lineup is hitless tonight.
He was robbed on that play by Ryan Braun.
Even though he's hit in 8 of his last 11 games, he is 0 for his last 9, but hitting .385 during those last 11.
And a 1-1 pitch to Skip. Down the right field line. It's well hit, and it is out of here. A 2-run homer for Skip Schumacher. And the Cardinals right back in this game. It's now 7-4. His second in 2009.
Well, you talk about the cutter being an effective pitch to a right-handed batter, but he's had a little trouble with it. So with a left-hander, where he has that comfort zone, it would hit them. So he's got to change it a little bit and down and in, right into the sweet stroke of a left-handed batter. He just drops that bat head, and the Cardinals are creeping back in this game thanks to Rasmus and now Skip Schumacher.
Cardinals, by the way, have left on their bench Joe Thurston, Khalil Green, and you probably can throw in Adam Wainwright in there too. There's Stavanoa with Pujols on deck. Get on, and then this thing gets real interesting. A lefty is getting loose, but that's for Duncan. We saw DeFelice face Pujols the other day, and he went right at him. And Ken Maka said, you know, I love his cutter, but I also love his demeanor. You know, he's been in the minor leagues. He's had baseball essentially taken away from him. When he gets out on the mound, he's the one guy that, for the most part, goes right at these hitters. He said, and that's what I want out of my guy to get to Trevor Hoffman.
Have that attitude that you're better than anybody standing in that batter's box. If you have that attitude, it translates, and the hitter goes, hey, this is a confident guy out there that, you know, he thinks he's pretty good, and you pitch like that.
Base hit to left, and that will bring Pujols now to the plate.
This is really the kind of comeback win the Cardinals desperately need, as struggling to score. You give up 7 runs, but you look at it, the Brewers have invited the Cardinals back in with their sloppy defense. Billy Castro, who first year as the pitching coach after 17 years in the Milwaukee bullpen.
So again, it's a lefty Stetter that's been getting loose for Duncan, and no righty up for Pujols. DeFelice, though, did face Albert and got him out on Saturday. Pujols lined out to third his last time up. Narrowly missed a home run first time up. Then he hit into a double play and has also popped out.
As a fan of the game, you really don't want to pull for a guy like DeFelice that has endured so much and then, you know, has a chance to play at the big league level. Especially if he's going to go out and attack people and pitch like he belongs here. Everybody up and wanting to see Albert break out of his slump.
0-2 on Pujols. Again, DeFelice right at Albert. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. And this is the loudest we've heard this crowd all night.
Albert has a 6-game hitting streak, but only 7 hits during that time. After a rough road trip, hitting well again at home, but he needs to break loose here.
The 0-2. You figure you got 1 out here, obviously, left, and then your 8th inning, and all of a sudden the back end of games have been automatic for the Brewers in that 9th with Trevor Hoffman. Outfield fairly shallow for Pujols. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. That's a tough pitch to lay off of.
You can also tell that, you know, they've gotten a little look at this guy now. Now you see what his ball looks like when you stand in the batter's box, and the fact that, you know, swinging wildly, it pitches out of the strike zone. Now they're becoming a little more selective.
A 2-2 to Pujols. Reaches for it, stays alive, and hits it to the seats. You get the feeling Pujols is real close to breaking back out, don't you?
You do, and you just hope that he doesn't try to do too much. You know, it's.
Is that what you've seen? He's just trying to do too much?
Because he's expanding his zone. He's, you know, feeling like, you know, that he has to make up for all the injured players and carry so much. Obviously, he's a big part of the offense, but
2-2, hammer, left field, but foul.
This crowd, they are energized into it, as he can't keep from being out in front and pulling the ball.
And to me, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing him back a little bit more, not out in front as much.
But the problem is when they throw the ball way away.
Right.
And what they're going to attempt to do right here, that's where he expands his zone. And backup right there, backup slider that many times is an extremely effective pitch. Instead of breaking down and away or moving to the outside, it kind of has a backward spin and kind of stays inside. But Albert, being the hitter he is, he can foul that off.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Pujols. This place ready to erupt. Here it comes. 3-2. Duncan on deck. One way or another, this is his final pitch of the game.
Well, it's nothing fancy. You don't even need a signal because it's all the slider cutter. There it is again.
A 3-2. He walked him. Tying run now will come to the plate. Ken Maka to the mound. The Cardinals left on their bench Thurston and Green.
You've got to pinch hit here.
As Stetter, the lefty, will come in.
Extremely tough on left-handed hitters.
So the tying run comes to the plate when we come back. Schumacher, a lineout that Counsell got. This diving play. But they have committed 3 errors. Hooper, Gamble, and then Fielder. The 3 errors tonight. Well, Stetter will face Duncan. Lefty, and boy, has he been tough.
He's very tough. Of course, they faced each other on Saturday, and he grounded out to third.
You could see how McCray, it looked like he was almost pointing to his front shoulder. Keep your shoulder in.
That's it, Dan. You know, as a pitcher, that front shoulder is so important, but the same for a hitter. Stetter releases the ball. It looks like he's releasing it behind you, so your natural thing is to give with your front shoulder and pull off it.
2 balls, no strikes, and Ryan is on deck. Are you surprised that Tony is not pinch hit here?
Well, he's down to, Khalil Green is his only option. And, he feels that Duncan is fearless against left-handers, and if he makes a mistake and he's left these balls in the inner part of the plate, he's somebody that can hit a home run. But if he throws that pitch there and keeps it away from him, unless he just absolutely sends it to left field, you feel like there's certain lefties you feel like he has a much better shot against. This is a tough one for him.
The 2-1. Doesn't chase. 3-1.
He's doing a good job of laying off those pitches with that advice from Hal of holding the front shoulder in.
Stetter made his debut against the Pirates in 2007. He's been up and down in his career, but was very good in postseason play against the Phillies last year.
Looper, 3 runs charged to him, but only 1 of them earned.
A 3-1 pitch. Count runs full. Stetter with the lefties like Ryan Howard and Chase Utley with pitches like this was tough on them last year's postseason.
He's leaving that in a very dangerous spot, but Chris just couldn't pull the trigger.
Runners at first and second. They're off with this pitch. And Duncan waves at it and strikes out. Threat is through. Cardinals pick up, though, 4 runs on a couple of home runs. 2-run homer by Rasmus, a 2-run homer by Schumacher. It's 7-4.
Leaves it up and in. Ball 1. Now the same pitch. Leaving him on the inside. Then he gets a fastball out there for the strike. Misses with a slider away. Gets a fastball down and in. And then gets the good slider all the way across the plate, and he chases it. Blaine Boyer is appreciative of, after yesterday's nightmare, he did not retire a batter, and he gets a shot right here to redeem himself.
It was our Chevrolet pitch by pitch on Duncan. And here's J.J. Hardy. James Jerry Hardy, J.J. And Blaine Boyer is back in there after giving up that home run to Fielder yesterday. I'm sure as a reliever, that's what you want. You want to get right back out there.
Absolutely. Did not retire a batter, but finds himself right back in the wars.
And the breaking ball is lifted into center. Rasmus for the first out here in the 8th.
So Blaine, since coming over from Atlanta, has pitched much better. First couple times, and he hadn't pitched for about 10 days. Came over here, and Dave Duncan and Marty Mason really revamped his motion, got him away from the 4-seam fastball to his 2-seam sinking fastball, and simplified his motion. Got him only throwing from the stretch now and allowing his arm to catch up.
So 1 out, nobody on, and that pitch is taken a little bit low. LaRue, of course, is behind the plate after Molina was pinch hit for by Brendan Ryan.
And Brendan Ryan stays in the game, plays shortstop, and Tyler Green moves over to third.
The 1-0 pitch, and that's taken for a strike. Ryan Braun has made a diving catch. He also made a sliding grab, and I'm not sure he needed to slide on that catch.
And he also misplayed a ball that allowed it to fall in.
His brother Steve is an infielder in the Brewers system. There's the curveball hammered out to left, a hanging breaking ball, and a 1-out base hit. Don't forget the Cubs are in town, and it's baseball's best rivalry. It returns to Busch Stadium. Cards and Cubs tomorrow. Still great seats available for all 3 games. And lock in your Cards Cubs tickets today at STOCardinals.com.
Tony out there is now Reyes will probably come in and get Prince Fielder.
So Denny's Reyes will come in and he'll face Fielder. Reyes and Fielder coming up in a 7-4 game. Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. And by Bank of America, Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. Coca-Cola Pavilion out in center field. And it's 7-4 Milwaukee. And Denny's Reyes is in for the Cardinals to face the lefty Prince Fielder.
Appearing for the 20th time. See his numbers. Been very effective against left-handed batters. Pitched for his native Mexico and was signed out of the World Baseball Classic by the Cardinals, and he's been a keeper.
Got a 2-year deal out of it. Fielder tonight been on base 4 times with 3 walks and an RBI single. Fielder was the 7th overall pick in 2002 as the ball scoots away, but Braun stays put at first. Unfortunately, he's had kind of a stormy relationship with his father, Cecil Fielder, who had 319 career home runs in the big leagues. They are the only father-son duo that have had 50 or more home runs. Cecil and Prince. You see what he's done against lefties. Righties 263 with a couple of home runs.
He's getting up a few hits recently, but you know, they're just kind of clunkers that have fallen in. But for the most part, has been very effective when in that role of facing a left-hander.
Here's a 1-0 pitch, up and in. 2 balls and no strikes. One out and a runner at first. We're in the 8th, and it's 7-4 Milwaukee. And Reyes thought he had a strike there.
Yes, he did. And I thought he did too.
Count me in that one too. I thought he did as well.
Well, we don't count.
And that's a ball. So 4 straight and another walk.
It's the 10th walk. The 10th walk allowed today.
So first and second now for Mike Cameron. Now, Trevor Hoffman would not have pitched Friday or yesterday if it was a safe situation, but he's set to go here tonight. See, 4 of the 10 walks have resulted in runs for Milwaukee. In May, 7 innings and 1 hit, no runs for Trevor Hoffman. That's how good he's been. Blocked by LaRue.
Bounced. Overthrowing, and nice block by LaRue, and not exactly what he's expecting.
2-0. This crowd now getting restless with all these balls and all the walks.
You just get back in the ball game, and Tony's going to take another stroll. You know, he and Duncan are fit to be tied. You know,
and nobody getting loose in the Cardinal pen. Cardinals have used Perez, McClellan, Boyer, Mott.
Tony can't resist.
The 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
Ball that was swung at.
Cameron with an RBI tonight. He has struck out. He's walked and he's also popped out. Ooh, he almost picked him off. A quick move.
Schumacher close to the bag and snuck in there, and watch how he steps off, and then instead of turning around or spinning, he just makes the quick throw.
Two and two the count. Just got a piece to stay alive.
Ryan Franklin throwing the Cardinal bullpen.
He needs some work. Two and two. One out, runners at first and second.
Not a happy camper. Neither one of them.
10.
And a 3-2 pitch now. I mean, you are not supposed to win when you walk 10.
Lowe's the starter tonight. He walked 3. And there's another walk. That's 11 walks issued by the Cardinals. Back-to-back walks from Dennis Reyes. He had 3 from Lowe's, 3 from Mott, 3 from Perez, and 2 now from Dennis Reyes. It adds up to 11.
Good luck, Jim Hayes.
One out, and it's first and second and third. They're all loaded up for Corey Hart. Hart came up with the bases loaded back in the first and lined out to right. To mention, the Cardinals see the lefty Ted Lilly tomorrow. 0-1 pitch. Could be 2, but it's off the glove of Brendan Ryan. A forced play at third, but a run scores to make it 8-4. See, he played it to the side as he probably was going to spin and try to get a 6-4-3 double play.
His mind working a little quicker than the hands, and That's exactly what he was going to do, Dan. But the first thing you have to do is you have to catch the ball. At least he is alert enough to get a man out at third base, get a force play. But that's a situation where he has to be turned.
Ryan Braun
Hall looks like he's going to pinch hit.
Ryan Braun has done some damage as far as runs scored tonight. Scores for the 4th time.
Going to have Billy Hall will pinch hit for the youngster.
So you avoid that lefty-lefty matchup. Ken Maka talked about his pinch hitters having to be better this year. They came into the series collectively hitting about 100. Billy Hall with 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and hitting .262.
Got Ryan Franklin up, but not going to use him here.
Remember, Weeks now is lost for the year. Good block again by LaRue. So that run is charged to Boyer. Pitching from behind all night long. One bright spot pitching wise, McClellan here tonight. He had a 1-2-3 7th inning.
And I mean, he did it in about 5-6 pitches, but you had the scoring opportunity. You pinch hit for him there.
Reyes, 1 of 4 first pitch strikes. That's a strike. Gets the call, 1-2. And when you're not around the plate, those close calls don't go your way.
How'd you get that one?
1 ball and 2 strikes. Went right back at that location.
Big at bat here. Make sure that still within 4.
2-2. '29 starts this year for Bill Hall. 28 of those games at third base. Also had a start in left field. He's played shortstop. He's played second. And he strikes out. Brewers, though, add to their lead. And it's midway through 8. 8-4. Mobile. Carlos Villanueva, a right-hander, is in. 25-year-old from the Dominican Republic, and he'll pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Milwaukee Brewers. If it's a save situation, then it's Trevor Hoffman's in the 9th.
Yeah, when Trevor is not available, or early in the season when he was on the disabled list, Villanueva gets those save opportunities. He's 3 for 6 this year. Started in the rotation last year for the Brewers, then moved to the bullpen and was very effective out of the pen as a setup man.
Made 9 starts a year ago, and he was 4-7 last year, and then made a total of 47 appearances. There's a look at Hoffman.
2-5 with a 6.5 ERA in the starting rotation. 2-2 with a 2.12 in 38 relief appearances.
People now, you see Trevor Hoffman, that great changeup. They forget just how good he was, an effective 4-pitch pitcher. Brendan Ryan, base hit. On base for the second time. First time he reached on the air by fielder.
Brendan come back this weekend from the disabled list. And nice stroke right there. He was playing some great defense before he went on the DL and trying to work his way back. Cardinals got really a mixed batch of very few outfielders and 6 middle infielders right now.
Rasmus is homer tonight. Takes a pitch low. Colby has walked. He lined out to second and also homered. Runner goes. Brendan Ryan with a stolen base at second, stays on the bag.
His job to slide to the outfield half and then to stop his momentum and grab the base as he goes by. Throw to the side, and look at how he holds on there, and his fingertips never do lose contact with the bag.
Changeup that time to Rasmus. He was trying to go deep again.
That's the one thing you worry about when, like with any young hitter, they hit a few home runs and then all of a sudden they get home run crazy. They try and hit home runs and then they get themselves out of their good patience, or they're locked in.
Room into left center. Foul tip held on to by Kendall. And Rasmus strikes out.
Leo Green. Get a chance here to hit for Reyes.
And Khalil is hitting just .204.
Somehow stay positive.
Somehow get him going.
Somehow, whether it's just a doink hit or a bullet, somehow just something where he can feel good about himself. So hard on himself right now.
A 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Remember, this offseason, he was the guy that the Cardinals looked at to provide a little spark in this lineup.
Seemed like a no-brainer trade. Really gave up nothing that was going to be, the minor leaguers were not going to make the roster. Had a tough season last year with San Diego, and we talked about how tough he is on himself. He actually ended his season prematurely, in a fit of rage, breaking his hand. So they're really trying to keep him positive, trying to keep everything with him right now as he's trying to probably do too much for a new ball club.
Count of 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, runner at second base. The next to Green. Do you see anything mechanically wrong with him at the plate? You talked to Hal McRae about it.
I'm sure most of it's between his ears.
Yeah.
You know, he hit over 400 in spring training. The swing has gotten longer. You know, little things right now, but I'm sure it's just a lot of it's just battling and thinking way too much.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at second is Brendan Ryan. Here comes a 2-2 instead. Villanueva check on Brendan. An 8-4 game. Milwaukee with 4 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th, and 1 in the 8th. Cardinals picked up their 4 runs with 2 2-run homers in the 7th inning. A 2-2 pitch. Green just got a piece. So many people in San Diego that you talked to said this was going to be the perfect environment for Khalil Green. And maybe it still could be. It's just he's gotten off to this very slow start.
Baseball heaven, you know, very supportive home team, home crowd.
And Green strikes out. So Green strikes out, and it's up to LaRue to extend it.
Jason looking for one more hit for 600 in his career. He's the only Cardinal position player over the age of 30. Cardinals this year, because of injury, have had to employ 11 different rookies.
Two outs, runner at second base. LaRue flied out to left. First time up.
Batting .350.
Down the left field line, but foul and a broken bat.
And we'll have to talk to his pitcher. And on the way, was spending an awful lot of time worrying about Brendan Ryan out at second.
One ball, one strike on the Cardinal catcher LaRue. Only available position player left for the Cardinals is Thurston.
And Franklin warming up, so he'll come in. That leaves only Miller out there in the bullpen, along with Brad Thompson, who I'm sure is unavailable tonight.
Popped up and out of play.
Only would pitch in an emergency situation. You've got long men, you're right. Got a sinker baller in Thompson. I always say they're more effective when they pitch when they're tired.
And he appeared on the pregame.
Yeah, lobbying for the Hungo.
Appeared with the cat on the pregame show. Jim Hayes. 1-2.
Well, after that experience, you know, he probably is unavailable.
I enjoyed that interview.
Oh, I did too. I thought he was very.
And then you jumped into the interview.
Oh, I mean, anybody, you know, we're not there lobbying for, you know, for the Hungo Award.
2-2 pitch to LaRue. And a strikeout. And that sends us to the 9th inning. Milwaukee 8, St. Louis 4. Franklin coming in, the Cardinals closer when we come back.
Cardinals trailing the Brewers as we head to the 9th at Busch Stadium. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Walk this way. A lot of walks issued by the Cardinals tonight. We'll look at that. A big night for former Cardinals. And, of course, we'll have Tony La Russa's post-game news conference. It's all coming up after the game. Pat Paris and Jack Clark will have that and more. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al, guys.
All right, Ryan Franklin into the ball game for the Cardinals. 22 of 43 first pitch strikes for the Redbirds tonight. So pitching behind an awful lot here this evening.
When you walk 11 and also hit a batter, it's just tough to overcome that.
So there you see the numbers on Franklin. His opponent's only hitting 130 against him. He needs a little work. And he gets Jason Kendall to start the 9th.
His last outing was in Pittsburgh last Thursday, so obviously he needs some work, and it was 4 days before that.
He just comes in, and it's been like this since day one, just pumping strikes.
It's amazing how it can be so easy for some and such a problem for others.
0-2 pitch. I wonder if his facial hair is starting to become a little uncomfortable.
It's thick.
Looks down in his glove, and it's starting to itch his neck now.
It's about the point where you can't see his glove.
And a strikeout of Kendall. I mean, that is quite the look.
He and Mott got the chin whiskers and very thick, so Mott's starting to fill in the beard.
It's like a partial Abe Lincoln. It's not the full Abe Lincoln, just a partial, Al. You just a little bit on the chin there.
Doesn't have the full size.
Villanueva, pitcher running. Franklin takes his time for out number 2. Villanueva shaking his hand. A little bit of the BBs off the end of the bat. Quickly 2 outs. Hoffman is not throwing in the pen right now.
Not a safe situation, so Villanueva, with the fact that he hit for himself, will stay in the game and start the 9th inning at least.
And Counsell will be the hitter with 2 outs. Figure he's going to see a lot of playing time now with the injury that they learned about earlier today.
Also have Casey McGee. They picked up off waivers from the Cubs. Is going to get some playing time.
Counsell is 0 for 4. He's batting .313 on the year.
Batting over 400 this year in the 7th inning or later, but struggles against Franklin.
2 balls and no strikes. He's about the only guy that hasn't been in the fun tonight for Milwaukee. A hitless night for Counsell. .3-0. Franklin hasn't walked many this season.
I think he's smart enough not to walk any in this game.
11.
11 free passes given to the Brewers. I remember Loesch also hit a man.
Milwaukee has left 11 on. Cardinals have left 7 on. The Brewers only have 7 hits, but 8 runs. And Milwaukee, more times than not, you have 7 hits through 9 innings. You could commit 3 errors, you're going to lose. Counsell, Pujols knocks it down, and no play at first. Counsell almost put himself back in fair territory, and he could have been live bait over there for Ryan Franklin to tag him out.
Scored that a base hit. Hit sharply. Albert goes to the foul line. And we're going to make a pitching change.
I think maybe a double switch, too.
Oh, yes. Thurston will have to come into the game. And Trevor Miller.
And Trevor Miller coming in. 8-4 Milwaukee.
A little bit here to get ready for the Cubbies who come in town. Appearing for the 15th time. He documented some of his struggles against right-handed batters, and that's
a little
what
tune-up.
A little tune-up. I mean, you need to do it to have a fighting chance. Next time you have an important game-winning, outing.
And the idea, I'm sure, is that you don't want to extend Franklin.
You don't. They both need to throw a little bit. And you don't want Franklin to be out there and in a situation where he has to throw a lot more pitches than you want him to.
And a fly ball into left center. Who wants it? It'll be Duncan who makes the catch. Sends us to the bottom of the ninth. As Miller gets that final out. Eight to 4 Milwaukee leading St. Louis as we move to the bottom of the ninth.
Are you ready for this comeback?
I'm ready. I am ready.
Cardinals were hopeful to salvage one game of this 3-game set. Had some very sloppy pitching. A youthful lineup. But they're down here in the ninth inning. Got Villanueva on, and you're trailing by 4.
Tyler Green will be the hitter as we start play here in the bottom of the ninth. 8-4 Milwaukee. Cardinals picked up their 2 runs on a couple of 2-run blasts. Schumacher and Rasmus.
Tyler 1 for 3 in the night.
Check swing, went around. No balls and 2 strikes.
Big Dog is predicted 3 singles and then a bomb. I'm with him.
Another check swing.
Talked about during this time when the Cardinals are struggling for runs, how they've really have not received a lot of walks themselves.
And an 0-2 pitch to Green. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the young players that have been called up from the minor leagues being over-aggressive.
Over-aggressive and really swinging at a lot of off-speed pitches out of the strike zone, chasing balls.
1-2 pitch to Tyler Green. And he strikes out. Milwaukee, of course, will head out of town, and they'll be in Houston tomorrow night. Here's Skip Schumacher.
And tomorrow night with Ted Lilly on the mound, the Cardinals are going to be tested again by an outstanding pitcher that possesses great off-speed stuff. It's not going to be another easy assignment.
Dempster and Carpenter in game 2. Wainwright and Sean Marshall, another lefty, in game 3. So Schumacher is homered here tonight. He was robbed by Ryan Braun down the left field line back in the 3rd. Reached on an error and also grounded out to second. 1-0 pitch. Pirates beat the Nationals tonight 12-7. Marlins an early lead on the Diamondbacks 1-0. Yankees leading the Twins in the 9th 7-6. A 2-0 pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike. Stabenoa on deck. Tried to extend it to Pujols.
Villanueva struck out 4 consecutive batters.
The 2-1. 2-2. Hardy to his left to make the play. He rifles it over to first. Take a look at our Budweiser Great Player of the Game. And Matt Gamble will get our Budweiser Player of the Game. Budweiser, the Great American Lager. His first career home run back in the 3rd, a 3-run shot. There's Stabenoa.
Two-hit night going.
First pitch a little high and outside.
Hit the ball hard 3 times tonight. Come back just waiting to happen, Dan.
2 outs. Nobody on. Down by 4. The 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good rip. Stabenoa had an all-star season last year at Memphis, the only all-star on that club.
And a 1-1 pitch to Nick Stavinoa. Took something off at 1-2.
At 337, led the Cards farm system and ranked 5th in the PCL with that average. Had 3 different stints with the big club last year.
This should do it. And the Brewers have a sweep of the Cardinals as Hardy throws to first. They take the 3-game set. We'll see them next week in Milwaukee, 8-4. Our final here tonight. A solid sweep for the Milwaukee Brewers. 8-4 the final. Post-game show coming up.